Palworld released only 3 days ago and they've already sold 5 million copies, which at the time of recording this makes their Steam player count the 3rd highest all-time peak in Steam history. You can see the screenshot here, 1.5 million people playing concurrently, and that's just on Steam alone. Palworld also released on January 19th with Xbox Game Pass support as well, and we don't even have that data. And with this massive success has obviously come some controversy, but one thing is for sure, Palworld is Nintendo's absolute worst nightmare, and I am here for it. This game has literally become an overnight success with what I assume is almost zero marketing budget at all. Right now the game on Steam is about $27. It's slightly discounted because it's in early access, and if you multiply that by 5 million copies, you get $135 million. Now look, I know Steam takes 30%, let's call it 95 million, and maybe some of this 5 million is part of like the Xbox Game Pass sales equivalent. So let's just say that even if we cut this in half, we're talking about $50 million in 3 days from a relatively small studio and almost no marketing budget. Now I'm gonna talk about the controversy with Pokemon in just a minute, but I want to just say right up front here, I've played Palworld. The game is actually really good, and the game absolutely deserves its success, and Nintendo deserves to take this massive fat L with the first real Pokemon competitor in what, 30 years maybe? And before we go any farther in the video, you're not a bigger Pokemon fan than me, okay? I know there's gonna be people in the comment section that are super upset that I'm talking smack about their favorite franchise, okay? I've got all the Game Boy Advance versions as well. I'm only missing Black 2 from the DS days, but that's because that game was trash. And no, I didn't forget about Heart Gold Soul Silver. And yes, we have every 3DS game and even all the hot garbage that they've released on the Nintendo Switch so far. But the truth is that Nintendo has had this coming for literally a decade or more. So if I've been a literal diehard Pokemon fan since I was 4 years old, why am I defending Palworld when they're being accused of literal plagiarism, which we're going to talk about later in this video? But the answer is simple. Palworld took what millions of Pokemon players have been begging for years and just said, okay, fine, if Nintendo's not gonna make that game, we'll make that game, and it's working super well. As soon as you start Palworld, you create your character and you're dropped into a world. There's not 30 minutes of fucking cutscenes, okay? You just spawn in and the story is your story. And remember, that's what made Pokemon Red and Blue so good. There was basically no story. When you think about this, okay, yes, Team Rocket exists, but at the end of the day, the story in this game is about you collecting the 8 badges, collecting all the Pokemon, and beating the Pokemon League. There's no 30 minutes of cutscene. There's no clicking through millions of text boxes that don't have any voice acting at all for some reason in 2024. You just spawn into Palworld and the journey is your journey. You're not forced to meet your rival. You're not forced to meet some friendship and oh, we have to stop the bad guys because they're bad. The story is that of the player. It's an open world. You can actually do whatever you want. There's no intro bullshit. And the other thing that becomes immediately apparent as soon as you start playing the game is that even though the game is in early access, the graphics are actually fucking good. Have you tried playing one of these pieces of shit? The render distance is 3 meters. The tree is comprised of 9 pixels in total, and the game just looks like absolute shit with massive frame rate drops because it's running on hardware from 2017, and even then the Nintendo Switch came onto the market and it was basically outdated tech already. Legends Arceus had the ability to be something truly great for the Pokemon franchise, and sure, a lot of people did like it and I'm sure it sold decently well, but the truth is that the game was 10% of what it could have been if Pokemon or Nintendo had actually just had a powerful enough console to run something like Palworld. It's so simple, Nintendo. We're in 2024. You just need decent graphics. Like, you don't even need the best of the best. You just need something decent. It's the bare minimum, and they can't even do that. I remember trying to play Pokemon Scarlet and sitting on top of a mountain on top of my Koraidon or whatever his name is, looking out across this vast valley of literal nothing. There's nothing there. It's a grassy plain, and then when you jump down there, then the trees spawn and then the Pokemon spawn. The render distance is 0. It's not an open world, it's basically an empty world. And not only that, when you first start on Palworld, because because you don't have 30 minutes of intro text and cutscenes, you actually kind of have a feeling of adventure. You literally don't know why you're here, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're supposed to do, and yes, there's a little bit of a tutorial that kind of like holds your hand for the first 30 minutes of the gameplay, sort of, but you still can kind of do whatever you want, and you just get to explore and build and do whatever you want, and it actually feels like an adventure. If I start with one of these later Pokemon games, there's no adventure there. I'm told exactly what to do, and on top of that sense of adventure, there's actually some challenge to Palworld. And I'm not trying to say that this is like a Dark Souls type of game or like Elden Ring or something. It's not like mega challenging, obviously it's a survival game, but there's some amount of challenge, and it's not catering to little kids. And I know what you're thinking, Omniarch, that these are kids games. They've been kids games since 1993 or whatever they came out, and look, I get that, okay, but it's not 1993 anymore, and I understand that Pokemon will always thrive by capturing whatever the current generation of kids is, okay, I completely understand that. They always should cater to kids because those are the people that grow up to love Pokemon until they're 30, 40, whatever. I'm 29, okay, and I've loved Pokemon since I was 4 years old, literally. Pokemon Yellow taught me how to read English, okay, I didn't know which button was save on the menu, and I had to ask my parents, and that's how I learned how to read the word save and what it actually meant. But the truth is, a massive percentage of Pokemon's sales comes from people like me in their 20s and 30s who have disposable income, who can buy every Pokemon game even though it's fucking trash. And what have people in my demographic been telling Nintendo for a decade? Please give us some amount of challenge, just a little bit. Give us a hard mode, give us a built-in Nuzlocke, give us something, give us some sort of just an ounce of challenge, brother. There's literally no challenge in any Pokemon game, and I get that they're for kids, I get that, but what I'm saying is some of us aren't kids anymore, and it would make sense for Nintendo to cater to that demographic as well. You can have both. You can have a normal mode and a hard mode. It's like literally every game does that like there's Ocarina of Time Master Quest or whatever, like we've been doing that for decades, Nintendo. Like just put a hard mode in the, like why is this so difficult? And this is just another thing where Palworld comes on the scene and says, okay, let's just put a little bit of challenge in the game. It's just a little bit, we just want a little bit. It's again the bare minimum that Nintendo could have done generations ago in Sun and Moon even, or even before that, and yet they still haven't done it. It's so simple. And even if you don't agree with me on any of those points that we've already talked about, the gameplay for Palworld, as simple as it is just fun. It might not be for you, but it is for millions of other people. It's a very simple gameplay and it's rewarding. It feels good. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what kind of, controversy or whatever is happening over on Twitter. Like it doesn't matter. What matters is the game fun? Yes or no? That's all people really care about. Look at Hogwarts Legacy, okay? Everyone tried to cancel Hogwarts Legacy on Twitter and it became one of the best-selling games of all time last year. And guess what? The game was good. I played it. I've played it just a couple weeks ago. The same thing is true with Palworld. It's just for a certain demographic of people, the gameplay it's good. It's just good, and it's really that simple. That's all players care about. And you might be thinking, okay, well, Omniarch, I mean, the gameplay is really just like some survival elements mixed with like Breath of the Wild and their gliding and stamina system on top of the Pokemon-like system of capturing monsters. And I get that, but one of the things that I noticed about Legend Arceus is that there's some Pokedex milestones where it's like capture 20 of the Spearow or capture 30 of whatever, and it's just a checklist. It's just like, did you catch 30 of them, yes or no? And that's it. In Palworld, there's actually some function to the pals that you capture. So some of them give you more carrying capacity if they're in your party. Some of them help you build things at your base faster. Some of them will help you water your berries. So there's actually an incentive to capture everything because they actually do something besides just battle, and having more of them actually makes a large impact. There's been multiple times where I've captured many of the Catevia, I don't know what the name actually is, the little pink cat that you see at the beginning of the game. I captured like 4 of them so I could fill up my party. That way I could carry a ton more stuff, which if I have an incentive to capture multiples, I have no problem with that, but that does not exist in other Pokemon games. And so it actually feels rewarding. It doesn't feel like just a mindless checklist of like, okay, capture 5 of these. Like, okay, I want to capture 5 of them because there's a gameplay incentive. And then we have to talk about multiplayer. Okay, there's actually a decent multiplayer / co-op experience in Palworld that we've never had from a Pokemon game, and it's something players have been asking for like a decade. Again, it's so simple. Just give us a multiplayer mode that actually feels fun and rewarding. Now, I understand that if you've played Pokemon competitively, which I did, okay, the competitive battling scene is a good multiplayer experience. If that's what you're looking for, totally understand that. But some people want to adventure and play alongside their friends and actually feel like they're playing together rather than just spawning in their friend's world. Okay, I know that like in Sword and Shield, even you could see people running around the wild area or whatever, right? But it didn't really feel like an impactful multiplayer experience, and Palworld just did, again, the bare minimum. Just make it so you can play co-op in the same world and make progress together. And it's just, this is what I mean when I say Nintendo kind of deserves to take this L. They deserve their failure on this front, because everything that we've talked about in this video is something that Pokemon fans have been asking for at least a decade, if not more, and they've had how many generations to figure it out and to build something like Palworld, and they simply didn't. They just continued to make the same thing over and over and over again, and the one time that they tried to branch out, they ended up shooting themselves in the foot because their hardware is garbage from 10 years ago. The Switch is like barely better than a PS3. So hopefully by now you understand why Palworld is so successful, but why are people so mad about it? This game has been trending on Twitter for like 2 days now, and the reason is because a lot of people think that there is some plagiarism going on with regards to the designs of the pals in Palworld. And here we're going to go through a couple of examples. There's only 111 pals in Palworld, okay, and a lot of them do look very similar. Okay, here we see same face, teeth placement, yellow and white eyes, identical. Okay, totally get it. Everyone sees the resemblance here, right? Here we have similar body shapes. I suppose, I guess you could make the argument that those are pretty similar. Here we have Mega Aggron's body inspired and the helmet and teeth. Yep, I think this is pretty obvious. Everyone can look at that and say, yeah, sure. Giratina's face, okay, I guess that's a small example here. Garchomp's model, but Toxtricity as well, totally get it. I think that's a reasonable assumption to make. Here we have Sobble. Here, this is a very, I mean, even like the top fin piece here, totally get that. This is just a yellow shaman. Everyone can see that. That's pretty clear. Brazian's design, that's a loose one, I guess. Wooloo, and I don't know the sheep ball's name. This is obviously a complete ripoff. Same thing here with Luxray. Shiny Luxray looks almost identical to whatever this pal's name is here. I noticed this one as well, that Gigantamax Eevee looks just like whatever this dude's name is. I thought about this even when I first started playing Palworld. Here we see Lycanroc. This is almost exactly Lycanroc. Okay, lots of these look identical. Okay, Electabuzz, also Totoro. That's what I think when I see this. I think of Totoro mixed with Electabuzz and also a machine gun. Here we have Flaffy on stilts. Here we have, I don't remember this dude's name. You see him right at the beginning of the game, but it's clearly a Meganium with Goodra. Okay, that's obviously what it is. This is clearly Decidueye, right? Like, I mean, obviously we know that for sure. That's a blatant ripoff. This one I think is a bit of a stretch here. Lilligant and Gardevoir combined, I think that completely is obvious. Here we have that's Metal Latios. Everyone knows that, obviously. This is clearly an Esper ripoff here. This one, Meowstic, I don't really see that one too much. This one is an Ice Suicune, totally get that. Here we have basically two sort of Lucario ripoffs. I completely agree here. This one is pretty obvious as well, like with the hands and the ears and everything like that, the stance. Here we have Xerneas. Yep, that one looks, oh, actually, you know what, I don't know, that one's a little bit of a stretch, but I can see it. Here we see a Cobalion ripoff. This one is like, this is literally Cobalion, like, let's be real, like this is a complete ripoff here. Frostmoth, I guess so, yeah, I can see that kind of being a ripoff here. Ampharos, I see where they're coming from. I don't really agree with that one. Quagsire, I don't agree with that one either. Tangrowth, I guess the face makes sense, but that one's a bit of a stretch as well. Darkrai, I think that one's a bit of a stretch. This one is pretty obvious, like this is a Gyarados. The coloring, cream belly, blue body, red eyes, yeah, this one I can understand as well. A blue serpent type dragon. Alchemy, yep, this one makes a lot of sense to me. Pansage, again, makes a lot of sense. Grass monkey, yeah, we get it. Esper's eyes, sure, I don't care about the eyes. This one's a bit of a stretch here. This one is I mean, yeah, I can see Mega Aggron. I can see that being the case here. Superior, this one I don't super agree with. This one is obvious. Salazzle, the face is identical basically. Here you have a Fire Fox. I don't know, I don't really agree with that one too much. This one is pretty obvious. This is just a pink Emolga with the little bow on the top of its head. This one is literally Braviary, like same color palette and everything. Okay, this is Houndoom and Zoroark combined. Yep, I can see that for sure. This is basically Dreadnought, totally get that. This is very obviously Miss Magius, of course, and you can, I mean, you could go through these, like, yes, obviously that's inspired by Vespiquen. Like, this is a clear ripoff, obviously, right here. This one, I don't really agree with that, but some of these are pretty obvious, right? Like this, obviously this feels like Pikachu. Okay, this really does feel like Pikachu, but the point is, at least like half of these pals have a very strong resemblance to a Pokemon counterpart, which would be a very strong plagiarism argument if Pokemon didn't already do the same thing for Dragon Quest. Okay, this image has been floating around Twitter a ton over the past 3 days, and here you can see, look, small bat, big bat, small bat, big bat, caterpillar, spiky rat, pincer bug, shellfish Pokemon, shell with a tongue sticking out, rock dinosaur, a fucking duck. Okay, we've got basically Gyarados ripped off this dude. This is obviously Aerodactyl. We've got a rock ball. Okay, oh, we got a ghost, a little spirit ball ghost here. Okay, a fire dog. We've got a yellow dragon. Okay, we've got crabs with eyes. Pokemon took a bunch of their inspiration from Dragon Quest, which came out first, obviously. So why are people saying that this is plagiarism and this is not? Well, it's pretty clear. They're biased towards liking Pokemon, and of course they do, right? Pokemon's a really good franchise, as I've proven in this video already. I'm a big fan, I'm still a big fan, and I really hope that Pokemon learns from this actual competition and starts to implement some of the bare minimum things that Palworld does right. So am I going to sit here and complain that a lot of these designs are clearly similar and possibly even AI generated with the help of the existing Pokemon designs? No, I'm not going to complain about that, because first of all, Pokemon's already done that, and second of all, Pokemon does not own the right to fictional creatures. Okay, any game can come out with fictional creatures, and yes, some of them are very similar, but I think everyone knows where this design of Meowth actually comes from. Okay, so people are being very intellectually dishonest when they say that this plagiarism is something that is only happening to Pokemon and not something that Pokemon has also done themselves. Palworld is well within their right to make their designs however they see fit. Now, if it's a literal carbon copy, then that could be a problem, but people are taking this so far. Dexerto posted earlier today, currently we are receiving slanderous comments against our artists, and we are seeing tweets that appear to be death threats. Palworld CEO and Takuro Mizobi responded to allegations that Palworld copied 3D models of Pokemon. He requested users to refrain from commenting hate speech and such slurs to the Pocket Pair team. And like, a lot of people are responding like, you know, they did use it as a base, sure. They did copy though, sure. Okay, who cares if they copied? Like actually, who cares? The game is actually fun. In my opinion, the designs are different enough, and the truth is that it's all about gameplay. Okay, this game is providing a experience that Pokemon fans have been asking for forever, and now people want to get mad that there's another game out there where you can capture creatures and it's actually good, and in many ways, I'm just gonna say it, it's significantly better than the hot trash coming out of Nintendo for the past couple of years. However, the mods, ooh, the mods, yep, the mods might be taking it a little bit too far, ladies and gentlemen. We already have actual Pokemon in Palworld, so there is a mod that exists already in the game that basically you can replace the models of existing pals with the 3D Pokemon models, and surely, you know, this is not legal, and of course this is not in the base game. Okay, you have to go out of your way to get this mod in the game if you want to, and whoever made this mod, I mean, they are basically they're playing with fire here. Okay, I mean, you could just see for yourself, but like, this is the Pokemon game that we've been asking for. This is what we want. This right here, this is what we've been asking for. And what has taken Nintendo so long? What's the problem here? Now look, there's some component of Palworld where you like actually beat the shit out of the pals. Okay, and do I think that they should put that in a Pokemon game? I don't think so. That goes completely against what the entire franchise is about. So maybe they could make a Pokemon game similar without the violence. I totally understand that. Maybe no guns, totally understand. But this, Nintendo, this is what a lot of players wanted, and you had a decade to make it, and you didn't do it, and you deserve to take the L. Pokemon fans can cry plagiarism all they want, but at the end of the day, Nintendo is guilty of that as well, and Palworld simply came on the scene and delivered the bare minimum of what millions of people have been asking and begging Nintendo for literally years. The game is fun. I encourage you to play it, and if nothing else, try it out on Game Pass. This video is not sponsored, it's just earned media for a game that's actually fun. And for $30 being in early access, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably gonna get 20 or 30 hours worth of gameplay out of the early access itself, and if it's never developed after that, I got my money's worth. That's all I care about. Lord knows it'll be more value than I've gotten out of some of the recent Pokemon games that have come out. These are full $60-70 games. The double pack obviously costs more, so for $30, Palworld is a no-brainer for me. If you haven't tried it yet, I highly recommend it. Let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys, and while you're down there, drop a thumbs up on the video. It really helps out the channel a ton. It'll help get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other people might see it, and while you're down there, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time that I upload a gaming news video. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.